Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Today we're going to show you how to make the smoked daiquiri. This is a drink that's kind of a transitionary between summer. What I would like to say is kind of summer, springish. I know tequila tends to come up mainly in the spring and kind of falls into the summer. Primarily, I think it's probably Cinco de Mayo related and margaritas. And so that kind of inspires people to start drinking tequila. So part of tequila would be mezcal. Mezcal's kind of it's a superset of tequila. Tequila is a mezcal, but mezcal's not tequila. It's complicated. But I have a video on it. I'll put a link below. This brings in 1.5 ounces of white rum, light rum, whatever, to make the daiquiri, which is what the daiquiri's primary ingredient is. It's going to bring in 0.5 ounce of a smoky mezcal. In this case, I'm using Vita because the Del Maguey Vita tends to be one of the more smoke-forward. Demerara syrup. You can, if you want to make your own Demerara syrup at home, if you don't want to get BG Reynolds, I'll put the BG Reynolds link below as well. You can make your own by just taking a turbinado sugar or Demerara sugar and making a simple syrup. Boom, you're done. And for the Demerara, we're going to do 3/4 ounce. So it's going to be, hopefully, a little less sweet than it is. I have a cat right at my feet. She won't leave me alone. Shake, strain, simple daiquiri recipe. We're just incorporating in the mezcal and we're using a Demerara syrup instead of a simple syrup. Oh yeah. And 1 ounce of lime. Totally forget. So 1.5 ounces of rum, 0.5 ounce of mezcal, 3/4 ounce of sugar, a Demerara syrup, 1 ounce of lime, pinch of salt. Okay. Limes must be a little dry. So potentially a little bit under the full ounce requirement. We're going to do 3/4 ounce of the Demerara. I'll play it a little bit under just to compensate for my lack of lime. 1.5 ounces of light rum. For this, you could use your favorite light rum. You could use a Bacardi, which works really well on a daiquiri, standard daiquiri. I find it's probably going to be, you're probably going to get a little bit more booze forwardness. If you want something slightly sweeter, the Plantation 3 Star is a great example. 3 Stars is a blend of Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad. So you're going to get, and I think they add a little bit of sugar to this as well, but this is all coming apart. Jamaica is going to give you that funkiness, kind of like a distinct character. Barbados, I find, tends to be a little sweet, and the Trinidad has like a, tends to be a little bit more of like an age quality, I think, maybe, potentially. Otherwise, it's a variation where you're bringing in 3 different rums into one single product to kind of balance it out and make your own master blend, if you will. We're going to want a glass. 1.5 ounces. So you're up to 2. You're up to 3. So 3 ounces and a 3/4. So you're looking at 4. You could do a small coupe. I'm going to say for this, I'm looking for kind of more of a summer refresher drink. So I'm going to want it to be colder, not just as dainty as a coupe glass, which doesn't have ice in it. So you're going to end up with you're going to need to drink it a little quicker. So I'm going to go with a double old fashioned. Might be a little big for this drink. We can just pack a little bit more ice in there, get ourselves where we need to be. There you go. Make your adjustments. We're going to shake this, give it a nice aggressive shake. If you don't like the ice crystals in it, it won't be a big deal in this case. But if you're putting it in a coupe, you could double strain it to keep the little shards of ice out. I don't care. Nice and chill. Ooh, really cold, actually. Go about, ice cold. How much sugar? Oh, really long. 15 seconds. Also, shop.awesomedrinks.com if you want to pick up a bartender starter kit. You can get, there's 2 different types of, well, there's many, but I happen to carry 2 different types of strainers. There's like the 4-prong or 2-prong or whatever you want to call it for prong. Pretty small, pretty light, pretty easy, pretty cheap. You get the more heavy duty. This is like kind of professional bar equipment. You can feel the weight. The springs are much finer grain. You can go with whatever you like, as long as you buy it from me. Strain that sucker out. Oh yeah. Now it looks impressive in right size because I added a lot more ice to bring it up. Now, more than likely, yes, it's going to add a little bit of additional dilution. People get all freaked out. Oh, you add ice just to make it more of a drink and you don't have to pour as much. You're pouring the same amount. It's just how you want to preserve and kind of showcase the drink. In this case, if I was outside, I want that ice to keep it recharged. And of course, yes, the longer you wait to drink it, the more diluted it's going to get. This is not going to take long to drink. There you go. the smoked daiquiri. Let's give it a try. Ooh, wow. It's actually got a fairly steep amount of smoke in here. The Vita, I mean, so two things. First drink, haven't had a lot today. No, haven't had any drinks today because it's like fucking 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm in the middle of work and I just came downstairs to film this so I can edit it and get it out for you tonight. But the smoke seems pretty forward. First sip of the day. Obviously, my palate's going to be a little bit more sensitive to it. But I do enjoy the sheer amount of smoke that I'm getting out of this drink. Now, you're not really going to get the sense of the plantation. You're going to probably have a little bit of underlying sweetness. It does have a little bit of that kick and body to it. The sweet and the sour play really well. Demerara is going to give you a little bit more like that almost like a brownish sugar depth to it. You know, just a little bit more character to a simple syrup. Otherwise, it's just this sharp sweetness. I don't get it sweet. I do get a little bit of sour, but it's just the right amount of sour where you're not puckering, but you're wanting to just keep taking another sip. So what salt does in drinks typically is it's going to pop some of the flavors out, kind of like a cocktail bitter would do. It tends to diminish sours a little bit. So you're going to get that lime forward flavor, but a little bit more of a subtle action. So you're not getting as much of a puckery lime flavor. It does lend itself to have a little bit of that like saltier finish, which I can say maybe that's the salt. It's just a dash of salt, but it could also be mezcal, and a lot of the tequilas and mezcals tend to have like a mineralistic, salty, kind of earthy flavor to them. So that does help bring out some of the additional salt-like property. I really do like the fact that I could kind of drink that daiquiri flavor, that lime rum with a little smoke on the end. And it doesn't taste like a mezcal margarita, considering it is a sour. And I think it's because of that light use of the mezcal and the more powerful forward light rum. You're not getting as much of that agave flavor and some of the standard characteristics of tequilas and mezcal. So it keeps it daiquiri in essence and soul, but brings just enough smoke that it's just so much more intriguing than a standard daiquiri. Standard daiquiri, it's usually 2-1-1 or 2 3/4 basic recipe. Everybody should make it. If you're just now getting into making cocktails, perfect the daiquiri and the margarita. Start with the daiquiri because it's super easy. Start with 2 ounces of light rum, 1 ounce sugar, 1 ounce lime, and then kind of tweak that as you drink more of them, not all at once, but like over time, and your palate starts to get used to some of that potency, you're going to want to dial back the sugars down to 3/4, similar to what we're doing here. And you can leave the lime where it is typically, or bring it down with it if you want. If you balance them both out, you're going to get more of the core flavor. If you bring up the sour, obviously you're going to get a little bit more like that sour lemonade, limeade type taste. But if you throw those things off, it's going to be disjointed. It's going to taste probably like either a fruity drink or a super sour drink. If it's off by a little bit, add bitters, add salt, and that usually will correct it for you. Otherwise, just keep experimenting. This is a good base drink if you want to advance up from that daiquiri to something else. Get a little bit more experience under the wings. Invite friends, have them try them, make a party of it, and experiment. Learn something. That's why we're here. Or at least that's what I've been told. That's it. Shop.awesomedrinks.com. You get yourself your bartender starter kit, your shakers, your strainers, all that stuff. Couple links below to Amazon for some syrups and whatever else I said. I don't remember. And that's it, my friends. We're teaching you how to drink.